Hey guys, welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I'm Chris. To my right is Alex Jones with a smirk on his face, and on my left, with shit in his pants, Jamie McCullough.
As always,
it's a given.
I mean, it smells. Can you just, we do it once a week. Can you just
This recording will only take an hour. You're going to have to put up with it, okay?
Fine. How are you fine, filthy fellas doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah.
Keeping on.
Yeah.
Keeping on. That's a good way of putting it.
I like it.
The train keeps rolling, Chris.
Can you just do a quick job check?
Yeah, I don't have a job.
Job check?
I don't have a job.
I don't have a job either, so
okay.
cool. High five.
See you in the dole queue. Anyway.
Well, we will
get off of that.
We will be setting up a Patreon so that you guys can pay our bills. Maybe?
I wish.
Anyway.
Have you seen my bills?
No.
Have you seen how much toilet paper I have to buy every month?
From the smell of it, not a lot. So,
well, you caught me there.
There we go. All right, guys. Well, if it's your first time tuning in, I apologize. But thank you for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, welcome. These are our beautiful mugs. If you are listening on your podcast platform of choice, please do give us a rating of 5 stars because it's a 5-star podcast. Unless you don't want to give a 5-star rating, in which case it's a bit of a paradox. Because
just don't give one at all.
Well too early to start shilling for ratings.
Get in there early, I say.
Given that we haven't talked about games yet. All we talked about is shit in Jamie's pants.
And it's been a minute and a
not
half.
Having jobs.
People love that stuff.
Hey, this is the Super Show difference, Alex Jones.
UB40 2.0. You don't start a band.
What, the band?
Yeah, like UB40 was was your thing about not having a job.
Right, okay.
I think that's why they started the band.
Is this your way of saying you think our breakout single should be called Brown Pants?
No, I'm saying 2.0 is that you don't start a band, you start a podcast. If you lose your job, you start a podcast.
All right, well, for people that didn't know, we're a gaming podcast. Woohoo! We will be talking about gaming coming up on today's show. We're going to talk about the whole PlayStation, Xbox, E3 for 2020 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then also...
First time in 3 years that we won't have a presence at E3 either. So maybe that's the biggest story.
Downer.
Maybe that's the biggest story here.
Hey. Goals. Squad goals. We will get there. We'll get there when nothing is happening. It's just going to be us, Phil Spencer, and a fucking monster stand. But then again, that's all you need. So
to be fair, that sounds like a good night, yeah.
Hell yeah. We're also going to be talking about PlayStation's Game of the Decade. Ooh. They had a poll. They asked people, hey, what's your Game of the Decade? And guess what? People responded. So people are also stupid. This is true.
I think that's easy I think that's an easy one for me. I don't want to say it now.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I just want to let everybody know that we are on YouTube. We now have a custom URL. Oh, beautiful, which is youtube.com/SuperShowPod.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. You could also follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram. I've set it up.
Says it like such a dad.
At SuperShowPod on social media. Let's get...
social.
Let's get...
Physical.
No, okay. So yes, there we go. Thank you very much. We are former ATG people. I don't know what else to say. Let's just go into what we've been doing, what we've been playing, what we've been seeing. Jonesy, you start us off. What you got under your sleeve?
Mine is boring because it's the same as last week. As I was telling you guys just briefly before the pod, I'm still playing Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm not very good at it.
Enjoying it though? I'm
enjoying it, but I've come up against a boss character, I think the 7th sister. I believe.
Yeah. And the big butch-looking one.
Or the 9th?
Maybe the 9th.
No, the 9th sister is the one that's chasing you, isn't it?
I thought that's the second.
Oh, that's the second sister. Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right.
Is it the 9th? I don't know. It's one of the sisters. It's the big sister.
It's the big sister with the horny chin.
Yes, exactly.
And I found, she's beaten me a couple of 3 or 4 times in a fight, and I'm not enjoying it. And I realised why is because Jamie, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not a patient gamer.
You're not a patient gamer. We know that now.
I don't do patterns. I don't do countering. I don't do meleeing. I don't do blocking very well. For me, it's
you just run in
and mash the fuck out of them with a lightsaber, and that is not helping me in this particular.
I've got a game for you.
I'm not playing Sekiro.
No, I've got a game for you. Honestly, Mordhau.
No,
you would fucking love it.
I played it once. I enjoyed it, but it's still. You need to still be good at you need to be patient and take your time.
No, honestly, you don't.
Really?
To be good at it, I think you need a little bit of... If Jonesy ran in there kicking and screaming, he would not do it.
I don't know how many people are on the map, but let's say it's 64 versus 64, right? Okay. There will be maybe 4 people per team that are the legit level, and everyone else is Jonesy level. You have a good time.
I did enjoy a more.
Everyone runs in with the
bow and just from the distance, just shooting people in the side of the face when they're having a fight with someone else, and you just go funk.
Hell yeah.
And then they obviously get really annoyed because I had it where I did that with a few people and then they come and hunted me down and killed me because I was like hiding with a bowgun.
There was a dude that made a character that looked like the Witcher, and then he got the loot, and then he went in and he was doing throw a coin to your Witcher.
Oh, nice.
So,
yes,
but,
I've heard.
And then he
I've
died
heard
many
about that
times.
song.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
That's a cool game. I like Mordhau.
Yeah, Mordhau's cool. Okay, but yeah, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
A cool. You said it, and I know what you mean, and I think I agree with you. It's a good bad game.
It's a charming
charming
bad
game.
Yeah. It's just, I think some of the design decisions were a little bit.
There's some jank in the mechanics.
Yeah, there's jank in the mechanics and there's jank in the optimization. Fine, fair enough. But
the lightsaber fights, I think, are brilliant. I do like. I'm not good at them.
That stuff is good.
Like
that stuff is good. And you know what? They got a lot of bespoke finishing animations.
Yeah.
Obviously, the story around it is kind of decent from a Star Wars perspective, and it's especially that starting off where you're like, oh, the Old Republic fucking Venator class cruisers and shit. It's like, hell yeah, that's cool.
That is cool.
But I just think like mechanically, it's got some issues.
Yeah, the level designs, I mean, that are fine, but there's some of those designs are a bit kind of, they get a bit tired after a while.
Yeah.
Like there's similar sort of run along wall, jump to other wall, run along wall, swing on vine. It's like I've done this many times.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask both of you this question. Take away the Star Wars aesthetic, the Star Wars setting.
Yes.
All right, and I don't know, apply any other kind of, but generic, non-branded.
I know what your question is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you like it?
Nowhere near as much.
Would you, Jamie?
I hope so, just because I'm not a big Star Wars guy. But then I can't guarantee that I actually would.
No.
Yeah, you see, I think this is what's happening. I think people are giving it the benefit of the doubt and are kind of liking it more than perhaps they should because it's a Star Wars game. And you know what? Like I said, it's a charming game. And at times it plays really well, and at times it plays really bad.
But then maybe it would be fair to say that they wouldn't have. It's Remedy, isn't it? I wonder if they would have made it different.
Respawn.
Remedy, Respawn. I wonder if they would have made it slightly differently if it was not a Star Wars game as well, because they knew they could rely on the Star Wars-ness. So maybe they would have done more.
On the other hand, you know what? Star Wars comes with a big kind of like
maybe they were
heaviness
limited
to it.
Maybe they were limited. Like they knew they needed Force powers. They knew they had to include Jedi and Sith. Do you know what I mean? It could have been a very.
I mean, there was a news story, was it in the last week, that revealed that it was actually very hard for them to even get permission to make a game that used lightsabers as the primary form of weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucas for a long time were really funny about lightsabers in games.
Mad that it's
such
a Star
cool
Wars
weapon.
game. Yeah.
The best thing about that game is the lightsaber fights, and then when you throw the Force powers in as well, like when you can get the Force pull and you can pull a stormtrooper to you and like.
Well, it's like those Jedi Academy games, right? That are now on the Switch.
So good.
You start off with blasters and stuff, and eventually you get your lightsaber, and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
This is what I wanted.
But it also reminds me of Knights of the Old Republic, the very first one. We start off, and there's no lightsabers in the beginning.
Yeah.
But you've got these like, what are they called? I can't even remember. They were like
Kendo sticks.
Yeah, they were like vibration swords or some shit like that. Basically, just giant dildos. But yeah, and eventually you'd work your way to get like so that's fucking cool, man. Like, make it worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine as a Padawan, you've got a fucking vibrate stick, and then a Sith comes at you, and your Jedi like master's like, "No, use the vibrating stick. It's not working." He's just hacking at you to pieces, and you're like,
"Oh man, that's great.
Help me,
help me."
Yeah. Anything goes in Star Wars nowadays. I think they've already scraped the bottom of the barrel for that shit.
Scraped the bottom of the barrel, gone onto the barrel underneath it, and in there was a shark that they jumped over, and then underneath that was a dead horse. I still love Star Wars, so there we go. Wow. All right. Well, anything else, Jonesy?
No.
Movies, films, TV series.
Oh, movies and films. A Newsroom.
Oh.
TV. I've been watching a lot of Newsroom, as I think I said to you guys last week.
Was that
I started watching it. Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges. I was going to say Jeff Daniels.
No, not Jeff Bridges. It is Jeff Daniels.
It is Jeff Daniels.
It is Jeff Daniels.
It's not Jeff Bridges at all, is it?
Jeff Bridges.
Also,
fucking hell.
Olivia Munn. The lovely Olivia Munn. Lovely. She's gorgeous, isn't she?
You're a married man.
Yeah, I know. I can say that. Come on. She is lovely.
She is lovely.
That I sound like I know.
She's not the loveliest, though.
A couple, no, I'm not saying that, but she is a very... I'm going to stop now. Yeah, God. She's a very attractive lady, isn't she? And in that, she's like a super smart economist as well, which I like, is that you put the two together.
Foxy.
Like, smart and attractive is very good.
It's a deadly combo.
The 1-2.
Makes Jonesy
1-2
weak
switch.
at the knees.
1-2 switch.
Did you play any more? Did you play the ball?
No,
the ball game?
The worst game ever. No, I didn't.
No, you got to play the ball game.
I'm not putting it on just to play the game you told me was the only game that's half decent on it. It is a terrible game.
I didn't say it's half decent. I just said it's cool because it's a box. You feel it's like a box and you feel balls inside.
Jonesy feels balls rolling around every day.
Yeah,
this is true.
He doesn't need a game for it.
Yeah, but are they in HD rumble? Do your
They
balls
are.
HD rumble? They do.
They're above HD because they're real.
You should get your hands on Jonesy's balls.
Ultra
You need to feel
HD.
that rumble for
All
yourself.
right, hold on.
Jesus Christ.
It's 4K rumble, if anything.
Do you know what I always hated was when 4K and HD, 3D, things like that came out, and the
Yeah.
other companies started using those terms to push their own products, and it made no sense. Like, did you ever remember that there was a makeup brand and they started saying like HD brow, like
Yeah.
eyebrows? You could have high definition eyebrows. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
To be fair, makeup could be high definition, just not in the same sense as
No, it couldn't.
It doesn't. No, but if you take the terms high definition as to what they meant before they referred to resolution, like it could be a very defined look.
And that's
I don't
not
know.
what they're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I
Yeah.
know it's not what they're doing,
Yeah, yeah.
but do you know
But
what I'm
It's
saying?
like they're going to come out with like digital lipstick. You're like, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't make
4K lipstick.
sense.
SD lipstick if you're running low on
Well, no,
funds that
they
month.
go after the TV craze from CS, and they're like mini LED,
Yeah. Jesus.
mini
yeah.
OLEDs.
OLED
God.
eyeshadow.
Yeah, rollable OLED eyeshadow. Fuck
what?
off.
Keeping up with all those different like shortenings of all the terms for TV paneling, like
Ah, it's mental.
when I was last bought a TV like 3 years ago, it was OLED and everything else. But now it feels like there's about 5 different things.
Yeah, the new tech is mini LEDs.
Did you see? So did you see? What's it called? CS.
CES.
The
It's in the game.
So the next iteration of like the foldable TVs
Yeah.
that they were
Yeah.
showing, and they're like super thin. You can fold them up. But I want to say that like a 50 or 60-inch one was like £60,000 or something.
Yeah, because it'll probably be because it was LG that had a rollable OLED. So OLED
Right.
technology is really expensive to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's why not many companies do it. In fact, LG are probably the biggest purveyors of OLEDs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's expensive. They've always been expensive.
But also, I feel like that's the way TV pricing works. Is it's at CES for $60,000, then the next year it's $15,000,
Yeah.
then it's $5,000 for about 2 years,
Yeah.
then it's $2,000 for 2 years,
Yeah.
and then it's
and there's
£400.
£200.
Then no one
£200
buys it.
down at the Currys, you know.
It's like the amount. There's a lot of people out there who still don't have a 4K TV,
Yeah.
but maybe don't even know. Like, if you just want 4K and don't care about the manufacturer necessarily or some of the other specifics of the TV, if all you want is the resolution, like, it's affordable.
Yeah,
It's
massively
easy, yeah, it's
affordable.
easy to get into.
My TV is like an 4K, ultra high def TV, blah blah blah, with all the what's it called?
HDR.
HDR.
which is the more important thing, I think. But
Definitely, yeah.
That cost me £500.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's fantastic
Yeah.
TV.
I think mine cost me $2,000, but that was like 3 years ago.
I was literally maybe like 3 months too early for HDR.
Right.
So I got this like high-end 4K like 50-inch TV, and a couple of months later it's like, oh yeah, HDR's a thing. I was like, fuck me.
It's the best thing is when you go to your mate's house who's one of those people who has to get everything as soon as it comes out, and he's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
cost me 10 grand. You're like, oh yeah, I bought one last month for like 500
Yeah.
quid, and they're like, how long have you had yours? 2 years.
To be fair, it's the one good thing that I got out of when ATG, and we can reminisce about this now, was
Hell yeah.
properly killing it.
Yeah.
To the point where, to put it bluntly, I was getting more money than I could spend, really.
Yeah.
Because the way I behaved each month didn't
When
change.
was this?
The end of 2016.
Yeah, there was a time.
Right.
I mean, it's not like he was going out buying Ferraris and
yeah.
Porsches and
Let's
shit.
just
like-
put it in perspective. Yeah, I get what you
but it was
what you
good
mean.
enough that I lived my normal life for like, I'd say like 4 or 5 months in a row, and it got to the start of
You're a
2017.
modest. Listen, you're a modest dude. I don't want people to think that you were like rocking a Ferrari and
Yeah,
like,
no.
flying
I'm-
up
I'm-
Jamie,
to-
I'm-
Jamie doesn't have a lot of costs.
No.
Jamie's
that's
a
it.
low-cost dude.
But it got to like I had 4 or 5 months living normally without realizing that the amount of money ATG was kicking in had gone up, and it got to the start of 2017. And I was like, I've got like $5,000 for some reason, and so I went out and I bought a new laptop, a new TV, and a PS4 Pro all in
Hell
the space
yeah.
of 2 months.
Hell yeah.
Very nice.
And I was like, this might never happen again, so let's enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Hell yeah.
Horizon was the first game I played, I remember. And I remember thinking, this is the fucking life. This is the life.
I remember when I first got my TV with HDR and switching HDR on and off in Red Dead.
Yes.
Oh,
And
right,
being
yeah.
like, holy shit, this is phenomenal.
It's funny you mention that, because I remember doing the exact same thing with Red Dead and being like, I can't tell the difference. I'm just going to turn it off.
You kidding me?
I'm being deadly serious.
Oh, to be fair, when I did it, it was like dusk in the game, and it was almost like a washed out sort of grey-ish everything was,
right, yeah.
and it wasn't that amazing. I put it
Depends
on,
on the
and
scene.
it was so
Depends on the scene.
vivid.
Can I be dead serious?
Yeah, yeah.
The only game that has made me go, shit, this is what HDR's meant to do.
Oh, Apex.
Nope.
No.
You're not going to be able to get it. Was
Death Stranding.
It was Gears 5.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
Death Stranding for me was a massive difference between HDR on and off.
I think I had HDR on for Death Stranding, but there's been a bunch of PlayStation games. Basically, Ghost Recon Wildlands fucked up my HDR, where I was playing it for hours and it was all washed out and looked like shit. Turned off HDR at the system level and it looked fine.
Weird.
And from that point on my PlayStation, I'm like, my TV's not calibrated right.
Was
I'm
that
doing
on
something wrong.
Wildlands?
Ghost Recon Wildlands.
They had HDR support on Wildlands.
Yeah, they did.
Wow, Jesus.
Okay, interesting.
And I remember thinking, okay, I'm just going to turn it, or leave HDR off on the system level because I don't trust it. But then I got the One X and played Gears 5 last year, and I thought, wow, like that is a stunning looking game.
Yeah.
I think I even sent you guys the picture, the comparison picture between
I think
Death
you did.
Stranding with HDR on and HDR off.
I remember because Steph kicked off.
Steph said this far too it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
And I was like, it looked gorgeous. What are you talking about? Yeah, we had a little mini.
Shout out to Steph Murphy.
Yes.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah,
F.
good dude.
All right, well,
funeral's coming up actually.
He's not dead.
No? He lied to me.
He's just at CES.
yeah, he was. He was in Vegas, baby.
He was in Vegas.
We'll do that next year.
Oh, I love that.
When we're a massive podcasting platform.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, you got a wish, right? What about you, Jamie? What you been up to since last week?
You know, not a dramatic amount. I was out of action for a little while because I was out of town and didn't have access to any of the consoles I'd usually like to have access to, or the internet I'd like to have access to. I did, however, get a chance to finish Pokemon, which I am not super hot on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you mentioned as much last week.
Did it grow on you, or
it actually had a weird trajectory where from last week it grew on me a little bit as it entered into sort of the middle third and the start of the final third.
Right.
And I thought the ending, or like the last, let's say 3 to 4 hours of gameplay, were a bit weird. I just think that game has pacing issues in a weird way.
Right. Okay.
It really.
That's a very interesting point because we had finished recording last week's podcast just before the Pokemon Direct came out,
cool.
where they were like, oh, by the way, all Pokemon will be available as DLC.
Yeah, like an extra 200 Pokemon they're adding.
Colour me completely unsurprised after the backlash that they've done that.
Man.
I don't know. I don't want to get into the Pokemon drama.
It makes sense from a business perspective.
Yeah. And like, if this is their way of not selling the traditional third version, then people are saving money in theory.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You'll never convince one of the people who's angry about Pokemon to not be angry about Pokemon. It's their personality at this point.
Doesn't it feel that like for the longest time, Pokemon, like the Pokemon company, could do like no wrong in the eyes of Pokemon fans? But is there a point with like most of these franchises where it goes long enough and people start to get sour on it?
Sure.
And it's almost like you can still look at Star Wars. You can still call yourself a fan, but you can also then look back at the past like 5 years and say, I haven't liked anything they put out.
Yeah,
not me. I like everything they put out, but you know, that's.
I would be so close to being 100% on board with that if I didn't really enjoy playing Let's Go Pikachu this time last year, which was a remake of like Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Yeah, and dumbed down, right?
But dumbed down with what's it called? The mobile game.
Oh, Pokemon
Go elements.
But then, isn't that the thing that is? I think when you have a franchise which has been going for such a long time, every iteration of the game comes out, and you have that weird thing of some people say they don't want the game to change at all; they just want a new version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Some people want a completely different thing that like adds whole new elements and whole new game mechanics, and you've got to try and appease both of those people. But over time, it does change quite a lot anyway, even if every change is tiny.
Well, it has to, right? Like people,
it has to.
The thing is, people don't know what they actually want.
No.
They think they know what they want. It's like, oh, I want exactly the same thing. It's like, well, no, you don't. Because like if you look at Pokemon when it first came out, like, hey, guess what? You have to get to a save point or whatever. You know, I don't really play Pokemon, so but like any game franchise that's been going for a long time. Oh, you mean I can't save anywhere?
But then you realise that your memory of what it was when you first started playing it is completely wrong anyway. So maybe when you play Let's Go Pikachu, actually you're getting a flavour of what you did want. And what you want it to be, and you're getting reminded of something in the past, and then the new one comes out, it's completely different, and then everyone goes, what the fuck, I don't like this.
What about, is it the way it was sold? Because they were like, hey, yeah, it's a pared down game that's a remake. And you're like, okay, let me process that. Okay, I'm on board. And then it's like, oh, this is the next main Pokemon title on the Switch, and you're like,
Which
it's
kind of
really
puts you
fucking
off.
missing the mark.
If you like Let's Go Pikachu and you really enjoy it, and then you get this and you don't like it and you think they've made some bad decisions, it's going to piss you off.
I don't think they made bad decisions. I think all their quality of life changes were for the better.
Not bad decisions, but in the perception of some of the people who play the game, they think.
Oh, I
bad
see.
Decisions.
I don't know.
Like Chris said, you can never keep people like happy, right?
Oh, yeah.
For me, it was just like charm and personality, and that I never really felt as involved in that world, and I didn't really like the designs on a lot of the new Pokemon.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it had some weird pacing issues where it really hurtles towards the end very quickly, and then takes a weird sidetrack, like just before you think you're getting to the end of the story, and makes you do a bunch of shit that feels a bit redundant.
Right.
But I don't know, it wasn't super hot on it. And speaking of games I wasn't super hot on, I've also played about 8 hours or so of Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Oh, you did. You got into it.
Finally busted that nut, so to speak. And do you know what? It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I don't think that game's a disaster. It's clearly been patched a fair bit since we played it. Well, we actually didn't last play it at the beta.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you actually got into
disaster.
the servers. So
Yes,
that's already something.
I think it's fine. It's really unremarkable.
I want to say, maybe not to the same degree, but wasn't Wildlands very similar, where it came out and people weren't really that hot
It was
on
lukewarm, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think
then
it's going to have a core of people who stick with it, like really, really enjoy it.
I think, fair play to Ubisoft. They do kind of stick things through, don't they?
They do, and at least for those people that are into it and that's what they want, then they're going to still get to play the game that they want. I after playing the beta, I'm like, I'm not interested in going anywhere near that game.
I kind of didn't think I was, but it's got this fairly unique feeling, at least brand of combat that I kind of go in for, which is weird to say because on the surface, its mechanics are very similar to a Far Cry or an Assassin's Creed or even a Watch Dogs nowadays.
Yeah.
Basically, every other Ubisoft property.
Yeah.
Like, go up to an area.
Division?
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, the Division, but I'm mostly talking about that loop of approach an area, use some kind of mechanic to get oversight of the area and tag enemies, and then stealthily take them out until you fuck it up and then shoot everyone else. Ghost Recon's the same as all those other games in that sense, but I still kind of like it.
Nice. Okay.
I like Chris said, I like that they're serving the audience. They have an audience they know they're appealing to. They know they're going to like the game. My issue with all those sorts of titles is they need to do something to interest other people.
Yeah.
For me, like Wildlands we played it a couple of times. It was fun, and then I dropped off that so hard.
I don't think you need to rush back to it. I don't think it's in a particularly great place.
Well, I mean, that was Wildlands, but then
fine.
Breakpoint.
Wildlands,
but then we play after playing a bit of that. It's more of the same. Like they haven't done enough.
I think the problem is that there's so many good games that are vying for your attention that
Yes.
like a game can come out and it could have a decent kind of foundation, a decent base, but it's maybe the building they put on top of that foundation is a bit ramshackled.
Sure.
But then across the street, to carry on the analogy, there's a decent foundation building game
Yeah.
with a decent house attached to it or building attached to it, and you're like, I'll just go there.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a
That
shame
was a
because
long analogy.
Yeah, I lost.
I kind of got
no idea
lost
what
in
you're
the.
talking about
I
towards the
got
end.
lost there for a bit, but I think I pulled it off.
I love some of what Ubisoft do. I think they're phenomenal. The one they at times have been one of my favorite like game makers, and it feels like. I don't know. It feels like they could be that again, but they're just not. I guarantee Watch Dogs 3 is going to be exactly the same problem that they've had with the other.
I'll tell you what I think their biggest problem is.
Yeah.
Is one of their biggest successes, which is Rainbow Six Siege. And I think what they're doing there is they're looking at that. They're looking at how they've improved on it, how they've implemented it, how it's become this like growing esport, how people are really fucking engaged with it year on year, more so and more so and more so, and building up on it. And they're like, we need that for all of our properties. It's almost like that Far Cry effect, right? That we made a video on All Time Gaming about, where it's like, hey, they came up with this formula with Far Cry 3, or they refined the formula to its apex point, and they said, all our games need to do this from now on.
Do you know what it reminds me of? So in our industry, as you boys well know, there is the phenomenon of the viral video, right? A video goes viral.
Yeah.
A company, whoever who makes that viral video, you could forgive them for them saying, right, we just need to do that again. The whole point is you can't plan to do it again. And the problem with some of these games companies, if they try and game the system, no pun intended, then what they're actually doing is they're just fucking themselves over because they're going, oh, this is going to be the next Rainbow Six Siege. Like, you can't plan for that.
Oh yeah,
You have to
if you
make
could
a good
plan
game.
for that, guess what? all-time gaming, we'd still be on there probably, and it would be
Just
like
make good
2 million
shit.
subscribers or whatever.
What do we like? Content is king, right? They just need to make good quality games that people will enjoy, and then it will happen. It will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or make games into good quality games
Yeah,
over
sure,
the passage of years.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
But that's fine. Yeah, do that. That's fine. I mean, look at all the games that have done that in the not too distant past. I mean, there's loads of games.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting phenomenons of the last generation of games. One other thing I wanted to say, which actually might link into what you've been up to, Chris, and this might be controversial, and I think I'm going to need your guys' opinions and maybe even the help of
I know what's coming.
the folks at home. I wanted to briefly mention The Witcher.
Yeah.
Which has had this kind of crazy year as a IP or a franchise. Like, probably the 2019 was the biggest year for The Witcher as a concept since 2015.
So they had the Netflix show, and
Not linked to the
2019 was the highest ever concurrence for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on Steam.
Yeah.
Which is
mad
weird.
because it's that game.
It's
came out
4 years ago,
Yeah.
like 5 years ago.
Almost 5.
I've got it here somewhere. Hold on.
I'm going to say May of 2015.
Okay.
May of 2015.
So yeah, you won't have it because
Yeah,
you've only
whatever.
got.
Yeah.
Something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So okay. So
Well, all of this culminated for me in getting really excited for The Witcher because when I first played it back in 2015, I didn't finish it. Put about 50, 60 hours in, fell off,
oh right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Because you got it on Switch.
and I got it on Switch. And that I thought, this is it. This is perfect.
Jump
I'm
back
kind of
in.
getting hyped for it. I haven't seen the show, but I might do at some point. I'm going to jump back in. Finished Pokemon, cleared the way, put the little cartridge in, installed it, ran an update or all that shit, launched the game. That thing looks like trash.
On the Switch.
On the Switch.
Okay.
It looks like melty garbage trash fire
because
game.
it is a good looking game on PC and consoles.
A reasonably good looking game. And like I'm trying not to be too judgmental because I know people have enjoyed it and playing it handheld, which obviously doesn't help.
Have
But
you delved into
I
the
think it
settings
does- I
and
think
played
it does
around?
help.
The only thing it has in the settings is like there's some post-processing things like motion blur that you can turn off.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised. I am genuinely surprised. So, guys, I have exactly the same kind of trajectory you had.
yeah.
That I played loads of it when it originally came out. I didn't actually finish it, but then was tempted when it came out on Switch for about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Started watching the series, which I'm actually enjoying more than I thought I would. Have no intention of going anywhere near it on the Switch. To me, it sounds like a horrible prospect.
I mean, I watched the IGN video review, and the guy was like, in handheld mode, it's actually kind of charming, and you get
Yeah.
used to it. And I was like, maybe I'll go for it. I liked Skyrim on the Switch, and I played that in
Okay.
handheld.
I guess because it's small enough, right? Like all those pixels get
You
condensed.
think you get away with it?
I thought
But
it would be better with the handheld. Like you saying handheld maybe is worse. I thought that's a lot better than doing it on a screen.
I think they get away with the resolution. What they don't get away with is the textures and the popping.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And it was as soon as I got out into like kind of the open world, so to speak, I was like, I don't know if my eyes will let me play this. Which has led me now to my question. Am I into The Witcher 3 enough that I just kind of want to play The Witcher 3 again?
Right,
And should
okay.
I just play it on the PlayStation?
Yes,
think you should,
yeah.
Both of you think yes.
So I thought recently about going back onto it on the PlayStation.
Man.
Because of it, like you've said, it's back in the ether, it's back in the environment. Everyone's talking about Witcher, and I want to play more of it. And I'm right near the end, so I want to finish the game.
I'm going to start a new game,
Hey,
baby.
hey,
I
guess
don't
what,
know if I
guys?
can do that.
I've never played it.
It's a very good game, but thank God they patched it the way they did because there's a lot of annoying things that they
Yeah,
came through.
and that's the thing that people got to prepare themselves for Cyberpunk. It might not release in the most stable.
Yeah.
I had
states,
game breaking bugs
Yeah.
in Witcher 3 that until they patched the game, I could not progress.
You couldn't get into a boat or something. I remember.
Oh, I remember that.
talking
Yeah,
about.
you got
You
stuck
talked
to a
about this
boat.
boat
There were
for
two times.
months.
There were two
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
and I had 2 game-breaking bugs. So one of them was that I had to go through a passageway with a dude.
Yeah.
And the passageway opened. The dude stood in the passageway. He was supposed to lead me through, and he didn't go through. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get him to go into it, and then I couldn't go into the passageway, which meant I couldn't do anything. So I ran around the world, did a whole load of other stuff, thinking I might be able to trick the game. Didn't trick the game. Every time I got to that story mission, I couldn't progress. So they patched something, and then I could basically clip through him. And it did this whole weird thing where the whole section of going through the sewers sort of it would let you do it, but it was all really weird and janky. And then you got to the end of that section, and then it's like the game snapped back into what it was doing, and he
Snapped
sort
back
of
to reality.
appeared. And then he had and we did it. But
Yeah.
the boat thing was similar. So Yennefer gets in a boat and she's like, "Yeah, come with me." She just sits there, and you couldn't do anything.
Yeah. True story. I had a bug on my first ever session on the Witcher 3 on Switch.
Okay.
The tutorial right at the very start. It's a very strange thing where basically you've got Vesemir, I think is the guy's name, who's kind of telling you what to do, but you've actually got a prompt on the left-hand side that tells you which button to press.
Yeah.
And one example for that is when it's teaching you how to dodge, it will he'll throw a strike, he'll stop moving, the game will pause, and it'll be like, press B now. I managed to end up in a way where I'd preempted the very first prompt, and I was doing stuff out of order from the prompt it was showing up on screen. And when it got to the part where you're learning how to use different spells, I couldn't progress.
Oh, that's weird.
What did you? How did you get out of that? Did it let you get through it?
I just quit and then reloaded,
restart.
and the autosave is at the start of that tutorial, so I just didn't do anything until the prompts were showing up, and then that was fine.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
But it's that's CD Projekt Red again, and like Chris was saying about Cyberpunk, that shit happens.
Yeah,
so
prepare yourselves.
That's the one thing that
Patience.
I'm sort of worried about with that is how long will we have to wait until Cyberpunk is in the state of which we actually want to play
we're all going to play it on day fucking one.
Yeah, of course. But what point of the game do we get to and go like this game, and then we have to wait 6 months, 9 months, a year until they finish, they fix it.
It's luck of the draw, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
absolutely.
but yeah. Witcher.
Oh man, I'm getting
Witcher.
that fucking DeLorean day one. Don't you worry.
It's not a DeLorean, but yeah,
It looks like a
that
DeLorean.
car that he thinks is a fucking DeLorean.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a DeLorean sometimes.
It looks like a sports car from the 80s.
Yes, exactly.
What he's saying.
Yeah, DeLorean.
Okay. Anyway, well,
The Witcher.
Linking onto your Witcher thing, I've been watching the series. I'm halfway through. I'd like to. I really would have thought I would have finished it before even 2020 fucking started. But hey, there you go. Family life gets in the way. But yeah, I'm halfway through. I think it's a really good series. The music annoys the shit out of me.
Music.
Yeah, because they've got this these it's almost like that Gladiator thing, isn't it? Where it's like, it's like boom, boom,
I thought you
boom.
were doing the Metal Gear Solid thing for a second.
No, well, it's the same fucking shit, and it's like, it just doesn't fit with the visuals that I'm seeing on screen.
Okay.
That's the one side of it, and the other side of it is
His voice.
oh,
That annoys the shit out
I
of me.
love his voice. I think it's so cool. But the thing is, there's not enough Witcher in The Witcher.
Okay.
You're watching fucking Yennefer in Syria. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool, but it's called The Witcher. It's not called fucking the Yennefer.
I want to see him beat a werewolf to death with his silver sword.
Yeah, you want shit like that, but it doesn't come as often. Maybe in the latter half of it, I don't know. But I think the effects are pretty cool. The stories are pretty cool, even though they're a bit kind of seem to be missing little connecting fibers, as it were. It's almost like you're jumping from one thing to another with not much explanation.
Well, they made such a point about saying it's not linked to the games; it's all based on the books, didn't they? And
It's fine. You can still make a story that makes sense.
No,
right?
that is of course fine. But I've never read any of the book materials,
Me neither.
so I don't know how much.
I've heard the
of it
books
is.
aren't written very well.
Oh, shots fired!
Well, hey, it's not my take.
I think there's some thought out there that the games were weirdly enough almost like the definitive versions of those
Oh,
stories.
right. Okay.
Well, there's the weird thing with the author. Have you heard about that
No.
thing? When CD Projekt Red approached the author for the rights to the games, they basically said, "Hey, what kind of a deal do you want to cut here?" And the author was like, "I want all my money up front now because you're never going to make any fucking money out of this thing."
I had heard
and they were
that,
like, "Yeah, sure." And now he's taking them to court because it's like, I didn't realize they'd make money.
No, but that's
Yes.
it's gone further than that now. They've signed a new deal.
Yeah, well, apparently the people were getting all worked up about it at the time because I think there is actually some weird thing in Polish law where if you knowing or if someone makes a mistake like that, there's basically he did have grounds of saying, actually, I was wrong. Can I get some money for my thing?
Yeah, fair enough.
Under Polish law.
Is it fair enough?
International law.
Is it fair enough? Maybe if he wasn't a dickhead in the first place, he would have been all right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if it's the law, it's the
A
law.
dickhead who thought his own writing wasn't worth any money.
That's like the reverse to what Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher or whatever her name is did with Star Wars. Like they said, just give us a percentage of Star Wars at the very beginning.
Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
They said,
And it wasn't even that. It was
And
give
George
me-
Lucas.
It was give me a percentage. Didn't Alec Guinness say a percentage of George Lucas?
Alec Guinness. So George Lucas gets a percentage of everything, and Alec Guinness got a percentage of
that.
I thought Mark Hamill got a percentage of everything Star Wars as well. So even before
He
the
might have.
marketing,
He might have.
he got a tiny slice. But obviously, and then Harrison Ford didn't. He said he didn't want that. He wanted a fee. So that's like the reverse because then those guys they had no idea if it was going to be worth anything. And then it's like $1 billion industry that Disney owned the whole thing.
It's a super common way to not pay for stuff.
But now imagine if the company could turn around and say to those guys, "Yeah, we didn't know how big it was going to be. You can't have that. We're taking it back."
Yeah.
That's why Mark Hamill only had to do nothing for the rest of his career except for be the Joker occasionally.
Wow.
She's like, I'm so loaded.
Harsh. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's kind of true.
The boy's minted. What does he care?
But before we...
How dare you write off Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Yeah, exactly. And rebooted. They're doing that, and he's in it again.
I downloaded it the other day.
I
pre-ordered it the other day.
Right, but look, we got to get into the main thing of this. One last thing I want to say about what I got up to was I actually finished the game, guys.
You
Sekiro.
finished a game.
No, not Sekiro. I fucking wish. No, I got a long way to go.
What's the
with Sekiro.
shortest game in the world?
No, not that. Although it wasn't a long
Snake.
game.
Minute.
I finished Katana Zero.
Oh, really?
And that is let me tell you, that is a surprising game.
Yeah?
Yeah, like...
That could be good or bad.
No, in a very good way. Like, the writing on that game and the thoughts behind the mechanics, very cool.
Okay.
Very, very cool. I can't really go into it too much, but it's basically like... There's some time manipulation going on there, and then there's some loopy ways of kind of continuing the story that probably lead to multiple endings.
Okay, interesting.
And it's cool. I think the reason it's so short is because it's meant to have multiple playthroughs.
Yeah.
It's a very cool game, and I can not recommend it enough.
Did you play that because you needed to feel like you completed something because Sekiro's taken so long?
Yes.
Legitimately, I had that exact same thought the other day, which I was looking at the sale on the PlayStation store thinking, what can I complete in 6 hours? I need to get something under my belt.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I'm fed up of going back and forth between Need for Speed and Ghost Recon, trying to finish one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
fuckers.
You know, sometimes you just get fucking fatigue, right?
That's why that's why I jumped into Jedi, because I started playing Death Stranding again, and then I was like, I need to feel like I'm accomplishing more at a faster rate.
Accomplishing more than finishing your Game of the Year?
Not just at a faster, like I need to feel like I'd got a small win, like I got some unlocks or I got this. Yeah, but
just the sense of because all these hanging strands is not good for people. You need to kill them. Death strands almost.
You need to reconnect them to the chiral network. I forget. I was trying to be clever there, and I've forgotten all those words. It's like as soon as you finish that game, your Kojima vocabulary just leaves your brain.
And you're like, vacuum it out of your head.
of the network.
Corellium.
Bandwidth.
Corellium, yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go into the crux of what we're here for. The PlayStation is not going to E3 officially.
Oh, they are not.
They didn't last year either, did they?
No, they didn't. They skipped it. And we were speculating that they... Well, I don't think we were ever definitive in saying... on our own opinion, whether they were going to attend this year or not.
Right,
we
it was hard
on the
to
fence.
know. Irony being that last year we said, they're not going because next year is when they're releasing the PlayStation 5, so it kind of makes sense. They're not ready to do it yet, and now they're skipping this year as well.
Yeah, well, look, on Monday they announced that they would be skipping the show entirely. A little bit counter to that is Xbox's Phil Spencer's doubled down saying, yeah, we're going to be at E3. It's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And there's been some speculation and rumor going on that Xbox is kind of looking to fill the void that Sony is leaving, so they're going to have like maybe one of the biggest E3 presences ever. And the ESA, the company that runs E3, have pretty much come out saying, oh yeah, there's going to be lots of awesome experiences, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, I don't know, damage control. But losing Sony and PlayStation from what used to be the biggest trade event, it's a bit... It's a bit of a big blow.
It's massive. We've talked about it before, the fact that E3 is on its way out anyway. And I think this is just another nail in the coffin to say, because you've got to look at all the other people that have pulled out of E3 over the years who now don't attend or do their own thing. I mean,
let's
it's just
put it this
another
way.
little rung.
So for the second year in a row, Sony are not going to be at E3.
Right.
They will never go to E3 ever again.
No.
Agreed.
Especially not if they do a whole load of their own reveals and release things and their own conferences over the course of this year talking about the next gen. Like, why would they?
Because of the nature of promoting the next generation of consoles, this is going to be the biggest year Sony will have in terms of the importance of their marketing and their messaging for the next 7 years.
Sure.
And they're not going.
Yeah.
Why would they ever go again?
They could have made that the focus of this whole year. They could have made that the big thing. Like E3 is the big event.
Yeah.
And they've completely said, nah, we're not going.
Well, it's because what are they going to do? They're going to go to the show where they've got a limited amount of time, where they are on a venue, a stage, whatever you want to call it, not physically, but metaphorically, with all of these other companies vying for people's attention. Whereas, hey, guess what? They just do a fucking event themselves, pop it on their own fucking Sony.com or PlayStation.com, and boom, you've got a captive audience. You don't have to worry about it. You can tailor it however long, however specific or not that you want to do. Like there's no draw to do that.
No.
Yeah.
But Microsoft are looking at it in a different way, and we know this from their strategy and kind of saying, hey, you know what? It's not only about Xbox; it's about the whole industry. It's about games and the love of games, and I think that's probably why they're still sticking with E3.
Yeah, but also just because I think Sony and PlayStation deciding to not attend E3 makes Microsoft's decision easier every year.
Yeah.
It's like they looked at it and said, maybe they're not as hot on an E3 as they once were behind the scenes, but as soon as you say, hey, your biggest direct rival isn't going to show up anymore, it's a no-brainer just to be there in any capacity, because you're going to
You're then the big dog who
exactly,
goes.
yeah.
Look, let's be honest, right? Even last year, E3 is still the biggest trade event for gaming.
It's weird though.
This year it's going to be the same thing.
You
Like
have to
Gamescom is
caveat
coming
it.
up, but that's about it.
It's funny because you do have to caveat it though. It's the biggest trading event for gaming, but then now it's like you don't need those events to have the massive epic release. Like you only got to look at when, say, Rockstar release a new trailer for a game online. Right. They don't need a big event. They just do it themselves, and it's fucking huge. And you can say, right, okay, with E3 you can have an audience in the halls of like tens of thousands of people. You can have people online who are going to tune in. But actually, nowadays, you can just do it all yourself digitally, and you can have billions of people around the world.
I still think there's an opportunity sometimes for, especially games that aren't represented by a first party, and that will naturally kind of float to the top of the pile to double down on the exposure that E3 gives the industry. I was reading some numbers that said, like, the biggest trailer out of E3 last year was, or the Cyberpunk kind of coverage last year, generated, I think it was about 70 or 80 million views on YouTube. And that the biggest thing out of Gamescom was Marvel's Avengers, that it was single digits. It was like 7 or 8 million.
Yeah.
So that's a magnitude factor of 10 there for E3 over Gamescom. But the worrying thing there is if you're looking at E3 and you don't think you're a Cyberpunk, then all of a sudden the pack is so much bigger.
I love that you said if you don't
sense.
think you're a Cyberpunk.
You're not a Cyberpunk.
Well, because that was the biggest thing at E3 last year based on views.
No, absolutely.
You know what's really annoying me?
What?
CD Projekt Red are fucking selling that bomber jacket that they were giving away at Gamescom. I was like, and with different badges. I'm like, you fuckers, you're gonna make me buy this again, aren't you?
You're only annoyed because you were going to sell your bomber jacket.
No ways I'm gonna. I love that fucking.
Are they selling all the exclusive model that they gave out the year before at the first ever behind closed doors presentation of Cyberpunk 2077?
No.
Attended by one Jamie McCullough.
Yeah.
That's me.
With thanks from me.
And thanks to NVIDIA.
Thanks, NVIDIA.
Shout out, Waters.
Yeah, look, Sony have said, though, that they will be attending hundreds of events, in little bunny ear quotation marks, throughout the year. So we know that they will obviously have their own kind of marquee event where they show off the PlayStation 5. But probably they're going to be attending, we know that there's going to be quite a big presence at, although they didn't do it last year, did they? Paris Games.
They usually are. It wouldn't be unusual if they had something at Paris Games Week. Yeah. They could always bring back PSX, which again they haven't done for the last 2 years, but they could theoretically.
If you're going to bring it back, you're going to bring it back for PS5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation Experience. And yeah, you know, we could expect to see them at Gamescom. They had a huge presence at Gamescom last year.
Yeah, they did.
I'm hoping to go again this year. We'll see what we can wrangle on our own steam.
But it's also like, as you kind of hinted at there, it's extremely common, and I think sometimes we forget about this because over the passage of time it just escapes our minds, for consoles to be announced at events run by those manufacturers separate to any preset, whether it's the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One, and of course even the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
All of those consoles were announced by those companies holding their own events whenever they wanted to.
Yeah.
They didn't go to E3 to announce the PS4 or the Nintendo Switch. Though I think we talked about the Nintendo Switch was never at an E3 prior to actually coming out.
Right.
I attended a Nintendo Switch preview event in London before it was available, where they just had all the launch games available, and you play with things.
Yeah.
And that is what sold me on getting Breath of the Wild. I was like, oh yeah, because I've told you guys before, I've got a love-hate relationship with Zelda, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to skip it. But there was a queue for it. I was like, okay, well, I've played everything else in this fucking event. Let me sit and play this. And I was like, I'm buying this console, and I'm getting this fucking game. Like, it was incredible. But yeah, there's a lot more value to be seen to doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm. But I think you've hit the nail on the head there in some way as well, because you said you played the game at a specific event, and then you were like, I'm getting this console, I'm getting this game. Nowadays, they, like Nintendo, as it, for example, or PlayStation, whoever, they know that they can put the game and the console, whatever, into the hands of an influencer online whenever they want, at the time of their choosing, when the game is completely ready. They can take that vertical slice, and then it's not just you thinking, I'm going to buy this console and the game. You can have them talk about it on stream. You can talk about it to their audience, and you can influence loads of people. The idea of waiting for a specific slot at a games event where you're not going to do that, and there's loads of other companies there, I completely see why they knock that on the head.
Also, like, if
they
you
can control the message if they do it their own way and don't do the
and if you're attending an event with loads of other people, right? Let's say however millions of people attend, I don't know if it's millions, whatever, attend E3, right? And you there's only a certain number of hours in a day. Let's say you've got a timed 20-minute demo for people to play.
Yep.
Right? You can only get through so many people. But
it's only a week.
But there's loads more people that are trying to get in there, because obviously they're there for Xbox, they're there for Bethesda, blah 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 blah. At a PlayStation event, you're there for PlayStation. They know the numbers. They can curate it perfectly to what they need.
Yeah.
It's like you said, control the message.
Get out
Is this the end of E3 though? That's the question.
I don't think it's the end of E3, but I think it's clear that the only real loser out of this equation, be it PlayStation, Xbox, whoever, the only real loser is the ESA.
Yeah.
In that, I think now they have to continue to do what they've done for the past couple of years and pivot towards a more public-friendly, consumer-facing event in the nature of something more like a PAX. It's got to be more about, as they even said themselves, experiences, give the public a reason to attend, continue to sell tickets at ridiculous prices, as they have done again for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Get people through those doors, because developers will still want to be there. There are still going to be people who want kiosks and setups in those halls.
Even the business-to-business side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we walked around the halls at Gamescom, and, there were, even if you walk down some random corridor in like a weird area, B2B areas, and there were still people that were like, here's a fucking 2-foot little area you can stand in and play this indie game you've never heard of.
Yeah.
People want to be on that floor.
Yeah.
Especially because E3 will presumably continue to be one of the most attended events in games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, rather than maybe not be the end of E3, but it's going to change it'll massively change the format and change how it comes across. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years it became much more about getting influencers there, letting people live stream games instead of it being a little, controlled environment. And to push that message out, and you find that a lot more, that's how it gets consumed, is a lot more people streaming stuff and people seeing the actual games rather than the big stage, the cinematic trailer, the presentation.
I mean, we talk about like PAXs and Comic-Cons and blah blah blah. They've never held the same importance within the industry as something like an E3 has, because of its history as an industry-only event where retailers go there and so on and so forth. But there's no reason why they couldn't pivot to something towards that and have what these other shows have, which, like, celebrities are going to show up and there's going to be speeches and keynotes and stuff like that. They don't need these big the presentations that we all sit around and stream necessarily to have a position.
Well, maybe that's the issue, is as soon as you're able to stream them, it becomes a lot less important to actually have them carried out live.
One thing that I found odd when we went to E3 a couple of years ago, which I didn't realise, is how actually most of those big presentation things now, they're not even done at E3. They're all separate
halls
across LA, and it's all the individual companies doing it. And then you get to the thing of, well, if you're doing it individually and it's purely for these industry people and you can do it whenever you want, I mean, you could do it wherever you want, anywhere in the world. Like, you don't have to
there was the weird year with Bethesda where they were there in LA, but the actual presentation was already a pre-edited thing. It was on Bethesda Land, where it went to the different theme parks. And it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And you're right.
Do you remember when Devolver Digital, they just got like, they set up shop in like the parking lots across the road, and they're like, yeah, bitches. Fucking Devolver Digital. But so one thing I want to say is Sony put out a statement saying, we have great respect for the ESA as an organization, but we do feel the vision of E3 2020 isn't the right venue for what we are focused on this year. So it's clear that, at least from Sony's perspective, they're saying, hey, that show, however it's fucking structured, it needs to change.
Well, I think EA, right? EA have probably got the best example of saying, it's not, E3 is not what we want. We're going to do our own thing. Here's EA Play, and we do it
at the same,
just before,
like at the same fucking place.
We have as many, like, we invite the people, we sell the tickets, we completely control the environment. Like Sony is saying, like, this isn't the vision we have. I wouldn't be surprised if in years.
Well, actually,
they turn
Nintendo
around
did
and
the
do their own
same.
thing.
With their treehouse, it's not at E3. It's
No,
just
it's not.
Nintendo's fucking
That
thing
wasn't
during
a
E3.
physical thing, was it? That was like again, it was
The
like
treehouse
digital-
was.
Was
yeah.
it an actual physical thing?
Yeah. So they had a presentation, and then they had the treehouse where you could go and play the games,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Something like that.
Pass.
Okay, right. I didn't realize it was a thing.
Yeah.
But EA Play, like they literally do whatever the hell they want. They
How
have the mini
scummy if
presentation.
PlayStation are like, oh yeah, well, we've got the big your PS5 reveal. It's at the exact same time as the Xbox conference at E3.
That's Xbox will be reeling, wouldn't they? They'll be like, "You bastards!"
No, but they would never
coming."
because it's you're
And
fracturing your.
I think
course,
EA
yeah.
Play, the fact that it is still in LA and it's like 2 days before E3 was almost just a victim of the fact that when they decided to break up and do that, E3 still felt relevant.
Yeah.
And it would have been almost crazy because June is a weirdly important time to be able to say, hey, you guys aren't playing or buying games right now.
Yeah.
So here's what's coming up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think EA were maybe too scared to go fully divorce themselves from it. And we're like, we're going to be down the road and 2 days early. Where Sony is saying now, we're so aware of how unimportant even that time frame is that we're going to do what we want, where we want, and when we want.
Do you reckon EA move EA Play?
I don't think for the time being they don't need to.
I don't think they will. Because they're in a good position where they're not beholden by the ESA and E3.
Yeah.
They can do what they want, but so there's going to be eyeballs on E3, and they're just the kickoff on that. They are kind of like the fucking leech on the shark that is E3.
It's funny that they're just before as well, because it is like they know everyone's getting ready for it, and then they
But it's
go,
weird
"Oh
because-
yeah, we started off, baby.
Yeah.
We're the first thing that happened."
You say that, but for a number of years it was like, oh, okay, EA Play. E3 is kicked off.
Yes.
For me, that's how I always
too,
kind of
yeah,
saw
me
it.
too.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then you had E3 Coliseum, and fuck yeah, man.
I think the other thing about EA is that while Sony, with their first-party titles, have become more flexible over the years in terms of when things can come out and how often things are delayed, and it feels like with things like God of War and like Death Stranding, and now we're in the middle of it with Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Like Sony's always like this weird back and forth, like when's this game going to come out? And they're like, whenever we want it to.
Yeah.
EA have always been a lot more structured in that by the time June rolls around, they'd have got their heavy hitters out before the end of fiscal in usually March or April. Madden's going to start things off again at the end of August, and then we're going to have all our sports games and a handful of other titles.
It's the reason why Anthem got released at all.
Right, exactly. And whether it's Anthem or Mass Effect Andromeda the year before, like they'll shit things out before the end of fiscal because they'd rather the numbers look good. And which means that June is always kind of like the start of the fresh year of output.
Sure. I do think, even thinking back to the last time Sony were at E3, it was a bit it was great, but it was also a bit meh. Which was the whole like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, and
Death Stranding.
And
it was those three, and they took everyone to that fucking.
It was like a little walk
Spider-Man,
through,
Spider-Man. Yeah, it was the big four.
But it was like a little walk-through event where they had the guy playing the lute. I think it was for Ghost of Tsushima, and they had all that sort of stuff.
The pannery.
It was the. Yeah, he was the.
That was it. That was
it was the Last of Us 2 was that composer playing the guitar with his hoodie.
Yeah.
It was even
in that barn. And then I was like, oh shit, this is cool. They're going
like
to
a church or
something.
something.
They're going to different themed areas for each of the games. No. Just for Last of Us. And then it's like, just get into this fucking hall and see the rest of it.
It's this guy's playing a flute that looks suspiciously like a cock.
I wanted to at the time. I think I wanted to think it was cool, but then looking back on it, I'm like, it is a bit.
It would have been cool if they had themed.
Yeah.
Places because remember
that's what we did think they were going to do.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be this theme,
and that would have been cool. That would have been really cool.
I actually remember now. I didn't get a chance to react to it because you and Rasheen were watching that press conference live from your Airbnb, and I saw the start of it and had to leave to go into a dinner with some friends of ours.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
And I remember leaving before Death Stranding had happened, and I was texting Jonesy at this dinner that was like I was meant to be on my best behaviour, one of those dinners, and I was like trying to find out.
You wore a suit jacket.
Yeah, I did actually, and I remember like texting Jonesy, being like, "What the fuck did they show for Death Stranding?" And Jonesy kind of saying something like, it was weird.
Not a lot. Yeah, not a lot.
And it turned out he was right. And I remember also before I left, I saw that Resident Evil 2 was announced at that press conference, and I went to the dinner and put my foot in it by saying that they'd shown it off, and everyone there had like consciously avoided it because they wanted to watch it all fresh. And I I was like,
you were the
classic
spoiler.
Jamie. Classic Jamie.
Sorry, and they never called me back.
Well, talking about all those PlayStation games and PlayStation in general, let's talk about PlayStation's had that thing where they were like, hey guys, what is your game of the decade? Obviously, through the lens of PlayStation because they're not going to be like, hey, what's your favorite Xbox game?
Yeah.
No, they don't give a shit. They want to know
Halo 4.
Yeah.
This kind of freaked me out when you said this because I've realised how most of this decade, like you said, had been dominated by the PlayStation 4, which to me sounds like, no, the PlayStation 4 is brand new. How's that possible? Which is kind of odd.
It ain't.
No, it's not.
Oh, buddy, it ain't.
Yeah. Well, I have the list here. All right. So at number 5. Okay, so I've got the top 20. Oh, don't look at it. I've got the top 20.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll do the 5 and then I can just pick out some interesting ones from the rest.
Okay.
All right.
I'll look at Jonesy to make sure we're not cheating.
All right. So in at number 5.
I did cheat a little bit. I saw it.
All right.
Do you know what number 5 is?
I don't. I think I know that. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh,
It definitely should be in the top 5.
yeah.
I don't know about that being at 5.
That's a top 10 game of the decade. That
Sure.
I'm fairly comfortable in that assertion.
But what I find
for
really,
me at least.
what I find
PlayStation specific though. So like, would you mean top 10 just for PlayStation?
I think
I'd
Jamie
put
would
it
probably
top
say
10
on
for everything.
gaming. Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. So for me, yeah, right. I thought you were saying
It's
I don't think it's a. Are you saying it should be higher than 5?
possibly.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know that even I'd get down with that for the decade.
wow, interesting. Wait,
We'll have to see what the rest of
I
the
don't
list
know.
looks
Yeah,
like.
I'd have to think
look,
about
I
it.
find this really interesting. I mean, I make no reservations saying I didn't like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
But I know it is a technical achievement, and I know that a lot of people fucking love that game.
I've been thinking about that game a lot
yeah,
recently.
but do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those games that came out. They spend so much time on it, so much money, and you're like, this is like the pinnacle of what Rockstar can do.
Yeah.
And it's like 5. And kind of like it's a
It's
good.
interesting when you put it like
Yeah, you know, it's a good spot to be in, but when you look at it through that lens, you're like, man, like that's a bit. Maybe they didn't hit the marks that they wanted to hit.
It's funny because if you said to me who are like the best, developer, I'd probably say maybe Rockstar. But then you say
They've released like 4 games this decade.
Yeah,
which seems like, but to be fair, that's not bad for them. That seems like it could be worse. They feel like the Quentin Tarantino of.
oh yeah, like
do you know what I mean?
the 9th film.
Exactly,
From
yeah.
Our filmed a Rockstar.
Right, so number 4, it's another Rockstar game,
GTA 5.
GTA 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I can see why someone would put GTA 5 above Red Dead 2
I'd
in a
reverse
list
them
for the
personally.
decade. I mean,
No, you know what it is? It's a question of time, right? It's been out for longer. More stuff has happened with it, especially looking at through the lens of like GTA Online.
Oh, sure.
It's a lot more all-encompassing than what Red Dead managed.
To be fair, yeah. Yeah.
that's interesting. I don't know how it would place for me, but GTA 5 was at the time of its release like the most important game in my life. It was still the most excited I've ever been for a video game ever, which
Really?
you two might find hard to believe because you've seen me suffer at the hands of some games since then. But
Death Stranding.
GTA was a unique thing. I mean, I've told the story a million times about how I ended up getting that game.
Right.
But like that was my life.
Regale it for people, because I don't think listeners have heard it.
Well, basically, I'd only just started working with you guys. I'd worked with both of you for about 2 months, and when I first joined, holiday days you weren't given a bunch up front. You had to accrue them at a rate of 1 3/4 days every month.
love that you still know this.
Yeah, it's burnt into his memory.
Yeah, that meant that I had saved up 3.5 days by the time that GTA came out, and I used them all, you better believe. Second half of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, get home Tuesday afternoon. The game hasn't arrived. It's still out for delivery.
This is my favorite bit.
I'm
yeah.
sat by the window for the whole afternoon, and it gets to like literally
I can
9
just
or 10
imagine him
o'clock.
sitting by a window and it's raining and there's like a sad violin.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the van to shop.
The radio, and it just keeps playing sad songs, and he's just sitting there.
It kind of was like that. It gets to 10
And the
o'clock.
radio DJ goes, "This one goes out to all the sad acts out there." And Jamie wipes away a tear.
Yeah.
You guys are surprisingly on the button.
Because you then burnt a whole holiday day that you accrue at the rate of 1.3 a month on just
Yeah.
waiting.
1 3/4.
1 3/4.
Yeah, and you just want to play the fucking game.
I just want to play the fucking game. That's the thing. It's been out all day, and I'm sat by the window. Gets to 9 o'clock, the status of the thing changes from out for delivery to like in the depot or whatever.
Which was it? Hermes.
It was.
It sounds like a Hermes thing
I
to
think
do.
it was a DHL deal.
Right.
All right.
It was. It was.
It wouldn't
like-
be my boy's DPD.
It wasn't Hermes. Definitely wasn't DPD. It was DHL or Parcel Force or one of like one of those ones.
Yeah, DPD, my boys.
Call up the place. I'm like, it was out for delivery all day and it didn't get delivered. Now it's at the depot. What are you doing? And the woman goes.
Did you contain your rage on the phone?
I'm lovely to customers. We've all worked a job where we know what it's like to be on the
Yeah.
other end of it, where you're relaying a message. She was the messenger, and she goes, what probably happened was they load up the van for the day, They go out. The driver has to legally stop driving at a certain point because there are limits on how long they can be out for. If they haven't delivered everything in that day, it goes back. Okay. And then she says usually it will go out again tomorrow and it'll be priority. Right. And I'll be like, there's no tomorrow. I'm not telling you.
I love it's like a James Bond film. There's no tomorrow.
So at this point, you're expecting them to get the van back out on the road.
No, I'm like, what happens? And she goes, well, it's at the depot. I'm like, how do I get it out of the depot?
I see, okay.
And she goes, well, you might be able to like go to the depot and like collect it. And I'm like,
this is at 9 o'clock at night.
Yes. And I'm like, okay. So I put the phone down.
I remember this story.
Challenge accepted. Really?
I get the address of the depot. And I call a taxi. I'm like, take me to this place. And the taxi's like 30 quid.
He gets a GAT just in case he needs
I'm driving out into the fucking middle of Essex here. So the taxi takes me. As I said, it's about a 30 quid taxi. We get there.
You could have just gone and bought the game again.
Yep, I could have, but I didn't.
It's the principle of it.
I'd already bought the game twice.
Why did you already bought the game
Because
twice?
I was so desperate. This is the other part of the story that's really annoying. I was so desperate for the game to get there on day one. I bought it from 2 different stores and was going to return the one that came second.
So
neither arrived.
So you're watching 2 deliveries?
Yeah. I'm watching one from the website was Shop 2.
I'm surprised you didn't know this.
No, because by that point I knew the one that I'd ordered from Rockstar's website wasn't going to get there in time.
Right.
And that came like fucking 2 weeks later in the end. This was and by the way, these were the collector's edition, so these are the big box.
Yeah.
So I get to the depot, it's raining. I say to the taxi driver, wait here. And I get up and it's like basically the way it works is it's bizarre. I still don't know.
You know that scene from Unbreakable?
He's
got the poncho, it's raining.
Genuinely,
so much.
Like, when I think back on this,
here, and then he's like walks in, the thing's over his face, you can't really see him.
this part of the story is legitimately a blur because the way it works is there's a huge gate. There's a little a little room that a man would sit in who controls the gate.
Yeah.
There's that. And there's a handful of people standing around. And I go up there and I'm like, this is a mess. They're never going to do anything. Plus the warehouses are like what look like half a mile away from the gate. I'm like, how does this work?
Did she say that you could go to the depot and do this?
It wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't.
She just said
they said there's some kind of it does happen, but it's not guaranteed. And there's a guy there, and he's like really disgruntled. He's like, "What's your name? What's your name?" and I tell him the name, and he walks off, and I'm like, "This is a write-off."
Maybe he's just going to go say, "I've got Jamie here. He's looking for his game." At this point, you think he's just gone home.
But no,
it's 10 o'clock at night, and he's just gone.
He walks away. Yeah. Sure enough, he comes back. And he's got it. He's got the box.
What a ledge!
And he goes, "There'll be £50."
No, that's the thing. There's no fee.
He saved the day.
Yeah. So I take it off, and I'm like, "Thank you very much." And this is where the story goes from raining and showers to sunshine and rainbows. The taxi driver, who's I've been explaining the situation to, is like, "I'm not going to charge you for the journey back. Like, we'll just go because I live nearby or whatever."
Okay,
that's nice.
So I'm now in the back of the taxi with GTA 5. Don't have to pay for the taxi home.
And I'm sure the biggest fucking shit-eating grin
God,
on your
you can
face.
only imagine.
The rain has cleared. It's the middle of the night, but the sun has come out.
He switches on the radio. It's no more like sad music. Like, I can see clearly now. The rain.
I get
has
home.
gone.
It's about. I think it was about 11:30. I bought 2 monsters and a packet of Magic Stars, which is like a type of chocolate. And I remember I was still living with my girlfriend at the time, and I remember, as she was with a lot of this stuff, to be fair, she was fully on board with it, and she was like, "All right, I'm going to bed, but you enjoy it, blah 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 blah." And so she went to bed, and I remember sitting up and playing that game and just thinking, I'm on cloud 9. I think I played non-stop till like 4 a.m.
I would have loved it if at that point you sort of sat down. You're like, I'm actually really tired. I think I can go to bed.
Yeah, fuck.
I had the next 3 days off. That was a Tuesday night, and I didn't have to go back into the following Monday. I remember being so happy.
That's nice. And now, we've got nothing but time off, so
we can play lots of games.
Yeah, well, at least some games are coming. Well, some games are coming out. Other games are going to have to wait a little longer.
Well, hey, listen. After that was number 4. Number 3.
I'm sorry. To be fair, Chris told me to tell the story.
Yes.
It was a good story.
It's a good story. I'm glad you didn't know it, and the listeners as well.
If you'd already seen it, sorry, but also thank you for listening to previous videos.
If you hadn't, and you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments down below of a crazy story about when you went to
what was your GTA 5 experience?
Yeah.
All right, number 3 is The Witcher 3.
Okay.
Continuing the trend of people just fucking loving The Witcher 3.
I wonder how that would have done if the poll happened a year earlier.
Yes, very interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone would have
just throwing it out there.
Very
interesting.
That is a weird one for me because I'm not sure That's super weird. It's a very, very
Super-
good game, but
super weird.
I'm really
weird.
surprised it was above GTA 5 and Red Dead 2.
Hey, I didn't vote in this, so don't shoot the
Don't
messenger.
shoot the messenger.
All right, number 2. Any guesses?
Yeah, there's only 2 games left that can be in the top 2.
There are? Oh, well, I know one of them.
I know the one. Number 1 is going to be the game that I would have put at number 1.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
Definitely, because we haven't had it yet. 100%.
I can only think of one game that we haven't had yet that I think is definitely top 5.
I can think of another game.
All right. So what is it?
You two bang on about it all the time.
We do?
Yeah.
The game I'm thinking of is The Last of Us.
Of course, that's going to be number 1.
Okay, that's number
I
one.
think-
That is number 1. The Last of Us is number 1. The game of the decade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
deserved.
Is it actually the
Standout.
game of the decade? I don't know. Is it the game of the decade for these purposes? Yeah.
No, I'll
Absolutely.
tell you what. It's the game of the decade because guess what? The Last of Us 2 is coming out next year. That's purely the only reason.
It's also the best game that PlayStation have had in the last decade, so it puts it well and truly at number 1.
Disagree with that one. Well,
Really?
actually, I don't know because I still haven't played the fucking game. It's sitting on my PlayStation.
You haven't played the last.
I'm gonna
What?
get. It
Dude,
starts
if
there.
you're looking for a game that's completable, like
I
that's,
know,
yeah,
I know.
seriously.
It's on the cards. It's on the
Yeah.
cards. Don't worry. Maybe I should set myself a target and say, hey, maybe not next week, maybe the week after. Like, get it done.
But I know, like I said, I know the 2 that are going to be at the top, and I know the second one's at the top because that's the one I caught a glimpse of when I saw the shit.
And you
that was
don't.
on Chris's desk.
You don't.
But you
can't think of it?
definitely, as soon as you say it, you'll be like, oh, of course.
I could make some
Go,
guesses.
quick guess right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Over to you, Jamie.
Can I just say it?
Yeah.
God of War.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
I knew you'd
Do
say.
you know what
of
I was going to
course.
say for some reason?
Yeah.
Skyrim.
Oh right.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong. Skyrim is number 6 on the list.
Is it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I don't know why God of War left my brain.
Yeah, man. Especially
Of course, God of War.
Now-
God of War
now,
is
yeah.
comfortably one of the top 10 games of the decade.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I knew as soon as you said
PlayStation
it, you'd be
games,
like.
at least.
I would say any platform top 10,
What, do you know what's
and I would
weird?
definitely say top 5 for PlayStation.
God
Skyrim
of
for me,
War, man.
I'm surprised it's in the last decade for some reason.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
I thought it might have edged
It's,
out.
I mean, it's only just.
All right,
Exactly,
let
I think
me
it might
run
edge
through
out.
the up to 20, right? So Skyrim at 6. At number 7, Horizon Zero Dawn,
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Number 8 is Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that is
Not mine.
I think it's just,
that's not
it's-
higher
it's-
because
it's
people
skewing.
fucking gush
People
on
love
that
it.
game.
Actually,
I
maybe you're
get it.
right.
I
Maybe
get
you're
it.
right.
It's not
Alright.
for me, but I get it.
Number 9, Uncharted 4.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
that's a PlayStation poll.
Yep. Number 10, Marvel Spider-Man. I would have thought that this wouldn't have gone as high. It's a great game, but it's very kind of like
But it's so PlayStation specific.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as you pitch this poll to non-PlayStation
Yeah, sure.
owners, then that game drops out. I think.
I think I'd agree. Yeah.
number 11. Okay, so past the 10 mark. Okay, so number 11, Persona 5.
Yeah. Same thing.
If you like RPGs. Number 12, Dark Souls.
I'm not surprised again because it's not for me. Like I know how much people love those games. So.
I'm just yeah, okay. Number 13 is Black Ops 2.
Oh,
And that's mad to think like
Okay.
of course it's in like it feels like forever ago, but of course it is because it's one every year and it's like it's not.
Yeah, and it's obviously you can't Modern Warfare
you've got
1
10
and
to
2.
pick from
Yeah, exactly.
in the last decade.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that people gravitated towards the most,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially
fair
for
enough.
the multiplayer, yeah.
Because Modern Warfare 1 and 2 were previous decade.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Right, number 14, Jamie, you'll like this. Nier Automata.
wow, that's did much better than I thought.
Yeah.
I could,
But again,
that's a strong
people
name.
who play it gush over
Again,
it. So
I've been thinking about that game a lot recently.
I have two because I haven't finished it.
wow, this is a lot
You
of
don't
games.
You
know
should
if-
finish it.
I'm-
Have
I
you
want to,
finished
like-
any of the games we've mentioned so far?
Yeah, I finished
Red Dead.
I haven't finished Red Dead.
Oh, God of War. You finished
I
God of
finished
War.
Last of Us. I finished God of War. Finished Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I didn't finish Skyrim.
You finished Horizon
I
Zero
finished-
Dawn.
I'm wondering
Horizon
if there's
Zero
any
Dawn.
game you've said so far that I haven't finished.
I finished GTA 5. I haven't finished Witcher 3. I finished Uncharted 4. I said that already.
Okay. Well, look.
Black Ops 2 I finished. Yeah, I finished most of them.
All right. Let's carry on.
Look, you see, this is the thing. You guys give me shit all the time. I finished most of
Yes,
these
fair
games.
enough. Number 15 is Death Stranding.
That definitely should be in the top 20. For me, it probably might
I
be the
think
top 10.
that game
Would be the top 10 for me.
will remain a cult hit, but that game will fall further down the list in people's
Yeah.
estimations the longer
I think you're right. I
you
think
go
you're right.
from release.
Number 16 is Red Dead Redemption.
That is deservedly up there.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's one of the best games.
Number 17, Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
100%.
Absolutely.
Number 18 is Fortnite.
I get it. I
Yeah.
You almost have to think that it would have featured in this if it's a poll based thing.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that it's not higher. Not because I think it deserves to be higher, but just that, cause like there's lots of 14-year-olds, in case you haven't noticed.
There are.
Number 19 is Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
I think with weird. So I did really enjoy it. I think without the other games before it, I don't think it would be in there. Do you see what I mean? Without like Arkham Asylum and the other ones, I don't think.
I mean, literally, it's a sequel.
No, but what I'm saying is, I think because those games were so phenomenal, like Arkham Asylum was such a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Everything after it, I think, were leveled up because of what had come before. So Arkham,
Right.
Do you see what I mean? If Arkham Knight was a standalone game, for me, it might not be up there.
Interesting. Maybe
Maybe a few places lower, but I had some weird issues with Arkham Knight.
I think like most people now, very much pro Asylum over any of the other
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, me too. But like I said, obviously previous decades.
Yeah.
Right, okay, and rounding it off at number 20 is Resident Evil 2.
Interesting.
The remake, obviously.
That's interesting.
I think
Such
that's
a new game. It seems a bit odd.
I think.
Yeah, but then again, like Death Stranding at number 15.
I think both those have a bit of like a recency bias.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Something that I can think is quite noticeable that isn't on here is one of Jamie's, maybe not favorite games, but you liked it, which was Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5
Interesting.
would be one of my favorites.
Anything else you guys can think maybe should have been on there that isn't?
I'd have to
Yeah.
I'd have to have a
I need a list of all the games that have been released in the last decade.
I think they have pretty like you're right. It is a very PlayStation list, and
super PlayStation.
there are a lot of stuff that I would expect to be on here for sure. Some interesting things like I really thought Bloodborne would have been higher. I would have thought that Fortnite, even though I don't think it needs to be there, would have been higher. But yeah, some interesting ones. Some nice surprises as well, like Nier and Persona 5.
What was the like, how did they decide what was on the list? Like, how did it skew so PlayStation heavy? Because they're not specifics, are they? So how did it go that way?
I think just it was a PlayStation
PlayStation ran a
poll.
poll.
PlayStation.
Yeah, I think they ran it on
gravitated
Twitter.
towards it, and
I think they ran it on Twitter or something. I don't know.
Do you know what? I maybe something like Titanfall 2. Maybe for me.
Oh
should have been
yeah.
the one that I recall, and it shouldn't be on there, but it's just interesting to think about how much it's fallen, I guess, in people's estimations, is BioShock Infinite.
Oh
Which
wow!
at
Yeah,
the
great
time,
shout.
At the time, seemed like a shoe-in to be remembered as like a phenomenal game.
Is that
And
this decade?
It's 2013.
Yeah.
20. Jesus, I thought.
Do
it was
you know
older
how it's so easy for me to kind of figure it out, right? Because I moved to London in 2010. After the Football World Cup in South Africa, I stayed in SA for that.
Nice.
And then I came here after that. So any game that I ever played in London, that's this decade. It was that decade.
So off that list, I'd say two for me that I really enjoyed would have been Titanfall 2 and BioShock Infinite for me. I think maybe.
I'd have to have a more thorough think about it.
Yeah. When you talk about like the recency bias, I think one thing that's missing from there, Fortnite is at 18. Like, where's Apex? But you could almost say that Fortnite would rank higher than Apex, and if Fortnite is coming at 18, then
Apex doesn't make the list.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you had that to 30, there'd be a few more of those titles maybe popping in.
It's an interesting one.
There's always the problem with lists like that, though, is it's what game you thought of when they were talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's also then you get the thing of,
well, I've just finished the God of War, so I'm voting for God of War, whatever it may be.
Like you said, the Witcher series is on TV, which means that people are then thinking about Witcher.
Yeah, man, number 3. Fuck. Okay. Fair enough. Well, guys, I think that's just about it for today. Thank you so much for listening to us rant on about what we do, what we play, what we watch.
Jamie's journeys in taxis.
Sorry
to get
that
games.
GTA story was so long.
No, it's great.
That was one of my favourite
You know
stories.
what we didn't do?
What?
Chris's Sekiro Minute.
Oh yeah.
You got a
do
minute.
it now. Do it now.
You got a minute.
Make it a hot one.
Unfortunately, it's going to be Chris's Sekiro second. I haven't gone any further than when I spoke to you last time.
Have you played it?
I have played it, but I'm still getting to grips with the patterns of the great shinobi owl, who is your foster father.
I would be so stressed out by Sekiro.
It is quite stressful.
I get. Do you know? Every time you lose a fight, I'd get more like, and
so before we end this out, so I was playing this one boss, General Genshiro, right? And he was the dude I said was like the bottleneck for me. Like I had to beat him, and it took me months, but in reality, it only took me like a couple of hours altogether.
Sure.
But yeah, I remember I was like, I know how to kill him, so I'm ready, all right? And I'm playing it, and he kills me. I'm playing it, I kill him, and I get to the second bit of taking him down, and then he kills me, blah, blah, blah. And it's a bit of back and forth.
Right.
And eventually, I land that fucking finishing blow. I pick up my phone, I open up my camera to take a picture to Jamie, except...
He's not dead.
He's not, because it goes with this like little red dot. It's like, oh, this is the thing to kill him. So
Right.
you press attack, was it R1, and you go and you attack him.
Yeah.
But then it does this strange thing where it's like, oh yeah, here's another fucking red dot. Press it again to do this like cool style move and fucking execute him. And I didn't realize that happened. So I picked up my phone. I took the picture to send to Jamie. I was like, I fucking did it. And then the hottest panic I've ever had in my life. I fucking threw my phone, picked up the controller, fucking smashed him again. And I was like, oh, fucking thank God.
Oh, you did do it?
Yeah, I did it. I was like, I can't do this
I
again.
thought you were going to say that he
No,
rallied
and it
and
was-
he turned around and killed you.
I just got a picture of Chris's screen that says "You are dead" or whatever it said.
And then Chris's
I-
face in the corner. Like,
I think the picture I was going to send to you was just this like blur, like a motion blur of me like chucking my phone.
the worst thing is when you see your enemy's health bar has got like nothing left, and you go to like finish them off
Yeah.
with one blow, and then they hit you or something.
Or
and
even
then
worse,
you're
when they do like you got full health and do like a fucking 6-hit combo, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've just been abused. Right. Well, anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or listening, if you're listening on a podcast, the show does go up first on YouTube on Thursdays currently, and on podcast platforms on the weekend, ready for your next week. Monday morning, it will be there, and you can listen to our sultry tones.
Oh.
If you would like, leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, or give us 5 stars if you're on iTunes, because, hey, all of that shit goes a long way. And, hey, you know what? Share this podcast with your friends if you think that they would like it.
or if you have any.
Yeah. Get some
Stuff out
friends.
Or if you didn't like it, share it with enemies.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I like it. Flipped and reversed it, Alex Jones.
There you go.
Hitler's
Lovely.
favorite podcast.
Well, hold on. No, I mean, we are the SS.
Yeah, big time.
Right. Oh, just another thing. Do you guys like the new graphics that we got on the channel?
Oh, yes. I think they
They're-
look stellar.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
Very good.
Who made them?
Thank you.
A paid professional.
Yeah, I
no
think we
doubt.
paid a graphic designer.
No, 'twas I.
Was Steph Murphy.
No. To be fair, it's just a font with a fucking texture layer over it.
Well, it looks lovely.
It looks great.
What logo isn't at the end of the day?
True. Well, we got to figure out a logo. But anyway, thank you so much, and we will see you or speak to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.